Hello, welcome to Tech with Praise James. In this channel, I explain artificial intelligence and machine learning jargon through storytelling. Have you ever asked ChatGPT a question and it confidently gave you the wrong answer? I have, not just once, multiple times. And that problem is called hallucination. It's very common with large language models called LLMs. Now, because of this problem, it bettered a concept called Retrieval-augmented generation, short for RAG or RAG. In this video, we're going to talk about what Retrieval-augmented generation means, how it works, why it matters, where it is applied, and some challenges, of course, that it has. So if you want to learn everything there is to know at the basics of RAG, stay to the end of this video, besties. So let's start with what's brought about retrieval-augmented generation. Now, large language models like GPT are trained on massive data sets. So that means they don't have direct access to up-to-date information or private data, for instance, from a company. Because they are trained on data sets, it means that they only know what is inside that data set, the patterns they learned from that data set, and they have a cutoff date. So let's say a model was released in June, probably the last latest data it was trained on was in May. So that means that if you're asking it about something that happened probably June or the next month even, it will just make up something to give you a response, which might not be true. That answer they make up is called the problem of hallucination. So it's just like you ask me a question, I don't know the answer, and instead of me going to make a Google search, I just come up with anything and give it to you. The problem with this is that chatbots and AI models are used in serious areas where a wrong answer can have very devastating effects. So we cannot just be fine with AI-powered chatbots and systems just making up answers because they cannot get access to up-to-date information. This is the exact reason why retrieval-augmented generation was bettered. Now, how does RAG work? RAG is a framework that allows AI models to provide relevant information at the time you're asking a question, not just relying on their training data set. So if you're asking a question about something that happened yesterday, the model using the RAG framework will be able to retrieve information on that thing that happened yesterday, instead of relying on its training cutoff date that was probably 2 months ago. So that is the essence of retrieval-augmented generation. So the RAG framework is made up of two systems. From the full name, it means retrieval-augmented generation. So it's made up of retrieval system and a generator. So the first system in a RAG framework is retrieval. Now retrieval basically searches through an external knowledge base. That knowledge base can be the web, it can be a company's private data, it can be documents, it can be PDF. So it goes through that knowledge base and retrieves relevant chunks that matches a user's query. Now we now have the generator. So the generator is a large language model like GPT. What it does is to take those relevant chunks and then the user's query and generate a response that is up to date and relevant to the context. So let's say a user is asking about a new drug. Now the language model might not have been trained on that new drug because it probably came out after it was trained. What it does now is to collect data that has been retrieved by the retrieval system. So the retrieval system will go through research papers, PDF documents, and retrieve relevant chunks that match the inquiry on that particular drug. And then the generator will take this relevant chunk and then turn it into coherent natural language answers. So that is how RAG works on the surface. Remember what I said, it demands two systems, the retrieval system and the generator. The retrieval system is what handles the data extraction to get up-to-date and relevant answers, and the generator is now what takes what that retriever have come up with. So it's teamwork, okay? They work together like twins. So that's how we have RAG. The reason it's called RAG, like you can see, retrieval-augmented generation, is because the retriever is augmenting, is supporting the generator. So that's why it is called retrieval-augmented generation. Does that make sense? Click it. It's like asking your friend, a very good friend, a question, and then the friend is like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know it. Then the friend takes up their phone and searches Google and comes up with an answer instead of just telling you what they know before that might be incorrect. So that is how RAG systems work. So why is RAG important? Like I said earlier, it reduces hallucination. So instead of the model just doing guesswork, it anchors its responses in external up-to-date information. Number two, it saves resources. Instead of having to retrain a large language model every single time there is new information, you just plug into a retrieval system that brings the data and the model does the work of generating a response. Number three is that it customizes knowledge. So let's say a company wants to create an internal chatbot for their employees to be able to ask questions about the company. Now the company can plug a retrieval system that has private data, frequently asked questions, research paper, and that's the model can now be generating responses to the queries of the employees. So it helps to customize system. Now, where would you see RAG applied? What are some real life applications of RAG? You see RAG in customer support chatbots that you go and ask about a company and the chatbot responds by going through the company's documentation, so you have more precise and relevant, contextually relevant answers. And then you see it in healthcare, like I shared earlier, asking about a new drug that probably the model was not trained on. With retrieval system, the model is not able to tell you about the drug. You see legal teams using RAG systems to retrieve data from case laws, because who is about to read all that? So yes, those are some applications of RAG, Retrieval-augmented generation. But nothing in AI is perfect. So what are some challenges of RAG system? Number one is the fact that the retrieval system might still not retrieve data from the correct document. Yes, you might have access to documents, but you might not get what is relevant to your query. And also, the performance of the RAG system is highly influenced by its knowledge base. If it doesn't have something good to work with, how would it give a sensible response? So yes, these are some of the problems that you have to overcome, but it is still one of the most impactful steps towards building reliable AI systems. So just to wrap it up, Retrieval-augmented generation makes AI system more useful in real-world settings by reducing hallucination and grounding their response in up-to-date information. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.